Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, I have something extra, extra special for you. Our special guest is Stephanie Lynn Mosier, a Gitelman Syndrome and polycystic kidney disease patient, and my friend. At birth, Stephanie was diagnosed with PKD, heart, liver, blood clotting issues, and possible organ failure. As a child, Steph grew up in and out of hospitals with multiple surgeries to combat things that may or may not have been related to Gitelman's disease. She was not officially diagnosed with Gitelman's until 2018 when she moved to Pennsylvania. Gitelman syndrome is a very rare kidney disorder that causes an imbalance of charged atoms or ions in the body, including ions of potassium, magnesium, and calcium. The signs and symptoms of Gitelman syndrome usually appear late in childhood or adolescence. Only an estimated 1 in 40,000 people are affected by Gitelman's worldwide. Symptoms include an imbalance of the charged ions in the body, including loss of potassium, magnesium, and calcium. It can be diagnosed by lab tests to determine serum electrolyte levels, including low serum levels of magnesium and potassium or elevated serum concentrations of renin and aldosterone. Gitelman's is treated with only management type therapies, as that's what's currently available. The syndrome has no cure. Genetics play a role in this disease. Treatment includes management with potassium-sparing diuretics or amide or if I get this right, spironolactone, Spironolactone. I hope I came close on that one, Steph. Among the team of some 19 doctors and treatments, these are some of the things that she either is facing currently or has faced in the past or in fact has rejected, okay? Blood draws 2 times a week, neurologist for migraines and neuropathy, neurosurgeon for pain pump, cardiologist for her heart, pulmonologist for lungs, urologist for bladder issues, nephrologist for kidney and electrolyte infusions, orthopedic surgeon for the spine, general surgery for her Hickman G-tube and J-tube, pain management. Her primary physician does a little bit of everything. Psychologist for anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress, endocrinologist for thyroid issues, hematologist for blood thinners and strokes, nutritionist for feeding tube, gastroenterologist for stomach and intestinal issues, internal medicine specialist, infectious disease specialist, allergist, gynecologist, which my friend says you got to figure that out on your own, oncology for possible breast cancer. Steph's kind of given that up. Rheumatologist deals with her rheumatoid arthritis and chemotherapy. We're not real big on chemotherapy, by the way. Genetics found her gene mutations, which causes Gitelman's. Dermatologist issues for skin. Ophthalmologist for loss of vision. By the way, my friend is an excellent bowler, and she's got pretty good vision, so she's not buying this thing from the eye doc. Otolaryngologist for eyes, ears, nose, and throat. She tells me she takes around 28, 30 pills every day. I have a note that says 100, but I think I'm out of date. Steph gets tired very easily, can't lift heavy items, including her 2 children sometimes. Stephanie says, quote, "I am a warrior. I am a survivor of many things. I understand this terminal illness is the worst of them and will eventually take my life. But what people don't understand is every day is a fight for my life. I can pass all in caps anytime, unquote. This disease has had a devastating effect on Steph's health. She is failing. She still wants to speak to all of us to help raise awareness. If you need more information about Stephanie or about Gitelman's disease, please check out the comments to this broadcast. I put all kinds of interesting things in there, including her kidney page. Please give a warm welcome to my friend, Stephanie Lynn Mosier. Steph, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
All right, let's get right into it.
Sorry?
Get some banners up first. Hello. There we go. Did I state everything correctly in the introduction? Is there anything you need to correct?
Nope. Okay, now I'm doing it. Spirulactone is the medication. The word you
Okay.
couldn't pronounce.
Right. Well, if I pronounced half of any of that right,
I screw it up all the time.
tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your education, your employment history.
I grew up in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I have a little brother. He's healthy. Apparently both my parents were carriers. Never tested for it. Didn't even know they had it until they figured it out in me. My father is no longer with us, unfortunately. But this disease both parents have to be carriers. So apparently both my parents were carriers and they never knew. So it's been, you know, I don't really work. I do Uber with my Jeep and I enjoy driving that thing, so but that's pretty much all I do. I do work for a therapist's office. I answer their phones, everything goes to my cell phone.
Okay.
But that's pretty much me.
All right. You have two children. What are their names and ages?
Jill is going to be 15 in June, and my son is 12, and suffers with autism and sensory processing disorder. Neither kid are showing any symptoms, thank God.
Great. Great. Let's talk a little bit about your most recent hospitalization. Can you tell us what happened there?
I had a urinary tract infection, and it ended up going into my kidneys. Um, and then it went into my blood, which caused me to be septic. So I needed to be admitted and get IV antibiotics because oral antibiotics, for some reason, do not work with my body. We don't know why; they just don't do anything.
Okay. They tell us that you've had some experience with PKD, and I understand you were diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease at a very early age. Can you talk to us about your experiences with that?
The only thing I really have an issue with when it comes to the PKD is the cysts when they pop. Oh, it is so painful. And the urinary tract infections that come with it. So it's a lot of antibiotics. And because I'm allergic to I think it's like 130 meds. Most of them are antibiotics. Some of them are pain medications. NSAIDs, Cipro, which is normally used. Cipro is the main drug that is used for treating UTIs and kidney infections, and I can't have it because I'm allergic to it. Um, it's been a battle. It's just been up and down, in and out of hospitals. Every time I get an infection, I have to go in and get admitted. It sucks, but if it keeps me alive, I'm for it, you know? Um, but really, the only thing that PKD has done is the pain from the cysts and just the infections constantly.
Okay. Talk to us about your early childhood experiences with Gitelman syndrome before you were actually diagnosed. At what age approximately did this all start?
I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to ask my mom. Because like I said, it's been it was weird. I would get a lot of UTIs, and my parents did everything they could to try and like get me to drink cranberry juice, but I throw it up. For some reason, I'm allergic to cranberry juice. So it's it's been like I don't know how to explain it because it's weird. You 1 minute you're okay, and the next minute you get a UTI, and the doctor's my primary wasn't really a um, pediatric doctor. He was more of like a family physician that my entire family had seen for a very long time. And I had trust issues with him. I don't know why. I just didn't trust him. But with everything that I would have going on, I'd miss a lot of school, and that really sucked. But it is what it is.
Okay. I understand that you were officially diagnosed with Gitelman's after you moved to Pennsylvania in 2018. Can you tell us how that came about?
So I kept going to the hospital because I kept having heart palpitations and my chest would hurt really, really bad. To the point where I'm holding my chest like this and I'm just like I'm miserable. And I was just not. I would feel like really drained, really exhausted, and every time I went, my potassium would be low. And I said, "Well, you need to go see nephrology because your kidney numbers are a little weird." And we're like, "Okay." So I went to see a nephrologist, and God help me, I love this man. He is the best nephrologist I've ever had. He is just on point with everything. He's the one that decided, hey, this symptoms are going with this. This is how this is. This is what causes this. And I'm like, as he's explaining it to me, I'm just mind blown and didn't know where to start or how to even process it. And then once I understood what it was, how it was diagnosed, after all the blood work and tests I had done, blood work, they did ultrasounds, they did MRIs, they did CT scans, X-rays. He put it all together and said, "This is what it is." But he said it's weird because you should have known by earlier, like by childhood, because both parents have to be carriers. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that. And my mom and dad were like, they never had any symptoms. The only issue my mom had with her kidneys is she was born with an extra kidney.
Okay.
Other than that, she's been healthy.
In 2018, how old were you?
Oh God, I don't know. I'm 40 now.
Okay.
So do the math. I suck at math. Don't ask me to do math.
So that's like 5 years ago.
Yeah, almost 5 years ago. I've been here almost 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Gitterman's. I understand it's a rare hereditary disease that it affects only 1 in 40,000 people worldwide, that the signs and symptoms don't really appear until late childhood or adolescence.
Yep.
Can you describe for us the symptoms that you personally have experienced with Gitelman?
The in the very beginning, it was just my potassium that would go to critical levels. Your normal potassium level should be anywhere between 3.5 and 4.5. And mine dropped significantly in the low twos. It would drop down to the one point something, and that's really dangerous. Because your potassium, your magnesium, your sodium, and your phosphorus, and even your calcium control your muscles, and your heart's a muscle. So the symptoms I would have when my potassium would drop was I'd have really bad cramps. When my potassium's low, I know because my legs will cramp, my arms will cramp, and I get these heart palpitations that are just, it feels like you're having a heart attack. Um, and then the frequent UTIs, that's also another symptom of the Gitelman's, unfortunately. In the very beginning, it was just the potassium. Now, for some reason, it's messing with my magnesium and my sodium. Every once in a while, it'll be like a smidgen low, but it's not critical. But potassium is what I'm having the massive major issue with, and it affects everybody differently. I've talked to a few other people who also have the Gitelman syndrome, and um, like for me, it's my potassium. A friend of mine, it's affecting her magnesium, and it's dropping so low that her heart stopped. And they had to, bring her back. A lot of us with Gitelman's just decided that a DNR is comparable and a choice that we want to make because if your potassium drops too low, there's and your heart stops because your potassium is dropping so low. There's no chance you're going to come back. There's no way they can replace it and start your heart at the same time. That makes sense.
Okay. We were talking today before the broadcast, and you mentioned to me that you have had strokes and suffered from TIAs, transient ischemic attacks.
Yes.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
They don't know why. They think it's possibly from all the surgeries. Because I have had multiple surgeries. I've had stones blasted. I've had multiple DNCs. They've had to go in and remove some of the cysts off my kidneys. Um, I've had the J tube, the G tube, and then I've had multiple ports. Now, what I have now is called a Hickman. It's a Gershon Hickman, actually. But before I had a port, and that's like a round circle. It looks like this, basically. And it's basically under your skin, and they access it and deaccess it with a needle. I've had multiple clots with that. So they think that the strokes may have been caused by the power port. I've also been septic from the power port. I think I've lost count, but I think I've had a good dozen to 2 dozen ports my entire life, back and forth, back and forth. And every time either it gets sepsis or it gets clotted, they'll clean the infection up, take the port out, clean the infection up, and then put the port back on the other side. So you can see I have a scar here, and then this is where the Hickman certainly sits. Now the difference between a Hickman and a port, now mind you, there's many, many different types of Hickmans. But what I have is a Gershon, and it basically, this goes straight into my skin, down into my heart, and just sits right there in my vena cava of my heart. There's no needles, there's no deaccessing it. It's constantly there, if that makes sense. Where port you can access and deaccess. Now there's less risk of infection with this one, and I have yet to, knock on wood, literally have yet to have an infection with this. Thank God, because usually my body for some reason doesn't like foreign objects. Now, if you look at my arm, I also have a fistula in my arm. They decided that it would be smart, instead of using the plastic that they normally use for a fistula. I have a scar on my leg from my private area down to my knee, where they took the femoral artery out of my leg and put it into my arm to create the fistula. So they're using my own body parts to create a line for in case I need it for dialysis, or if this fails, because I am hard stick because of all the potassium IVs that they have put into me, peripheral IVs they put into me and done potassium, I have no veins left. So this is just like a safeguard, just in case something happens to this and they can't get a line in me, rather than drilling, because they can literally drill a hole into your bone and put an IV in that way. I don't want that, so it's better just to have a backup. So the fistula is the backup.
Okay. Can you tell us how your Gitelman's has been treated up to this point?
Um, well, in the beginning, my blood pressure would be extremely high, and I was on lisinopril to lower my blood pressure. Now, my blood pressure is too low, so when I stand up, I pass out. That's bad. So I'm on medication to raise my blood pressure. So that's been a battle. I'm on antidepressants. I am on anxiety medicine because I have severe anxiety. Um, and I do have PTSD from some things that happened to me in the past with some exes. I'm on medications like gabapentin to help with the nerve pain. I'm on so many meds. I'm on spirulactone. I'm on my feeds, which give me potassium. I have packets of potassium I have to put into my feeds um, to help keep my potassium raised because if not, then I have to get it through the IV through my Hickman. Um, I get blood draws every week just to check my levels because my levels, you know, are so up and down. They're not stable whatsoever. Um, I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much it. It's a lot of remembering to take meds, a lot of cleaning of tubes, and remembering to hook up to my feed for 23 hours a day, even though I get tired of being hooked up. It's
Okay.
a lot of stress.
What keeps you going in light of your health issues? What's your motivation to keep going?
My kids, my kids, they're what keeps me going because I thank God because if you think about it, the genetics of the way genetics work and the way this disease is and the way this disease affects people differently, it scared the shit out of me thinking, oh shit, I had kids. What are the chances of my kids getting it? But because their father is not a carrier, that we know of, and the kids aren't showing any symptoms, um, the chances of them having it are pretty much non-existent. But doing things with my kids makes me happy. The fact that my son loves fishing with mommy. My son and my daughter, she's a tomboy. She just likes getting dirty and being herself and bike riding and it's the kids. The kids are my main focus in everything I do. Every choice I make, I put my children in my head before I make that choice. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Talk to us a little bit about the kind of pain that you suffer. If you think about it from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, what kind of pain are you dealing with?
um, well, between the RA, the rheumatoid arthritis, which is being combated with Remicade, aka chemo. It is a type of chemo. It's just not like a high dose of chemo, if that makes sense. Um, the Remicade helps keep the RA under control, but I still have flares where my joints. You'll see me like I'm sure I've cracked them at least 5 or 6 times since I've been doing this video, doing this live. Um, I crack my joints constantly because they constantly hurt. The UTIs are miserable. I get them back to back constantly, so it burns when I pee. I get pain in my kidneys all the time. I get pain in my stomach from the tubes. I suffer from migraines that are just deliberately just mind blowing, horrible. I have to sit in dark with like ice over my face sometimes or a hot pad just to get rid of the migraines, or I go sit in the bathtub in complete darkness just to get rid of the migraines. And I'm always in some kind of pain. Um it's not always really bad, but there are days where I can't even move and I want to like lay around and sleep. I get tired really easily too. Um, Driving Uber for 10.5 hours in the Wrangler for 3 days straight, it pretty much took a toll on my body. So I had to slow down on that. And I slept for 16 hours yesterday just so my body could catch up.
Okay. How are you dealing with the pain? I know there was something about a pain pump on your
We
Facebook
were,
page. What do you do to
yeah,
make yourself comfortable?
nothing. Right now, the pain pump is no longer an option for me because I've had sepsis so many times. Um, it's too risky. The doctor, the neurosurgeon, thinks that a pain pump would be too risky because it basically a round thing that goes into your stomach here, and then they have to fill it with put a needle into it and fill it, and that's the risk of infection is just too high. It's too much of a risk for me, so they don't think it's worth it for me. So they're sending me to a clinic up in York, um, to that does narcotics and other pain options like acupuncture and stuff like that. And I'm just waiting for them to give me a call.
Okay. Do you take any medicine for pain?
Tylenol, um, that's about it. I'm allergic to ibuprofen, so I can't take that. So I'm pretty much on Tylenol. And everything I take, I can't take anything by mouth because I will throw it up. So I have to crush it with the pill crusher and put it into my genostomy in my stomach.
Okay. How do you keep yourself grounded? What makes you feel good?
Um, I use bowling as an outlet. Though I'm really not supposed to be bowling. They pretty much want me to be homebody, and I'm just not that type of person. I like to get up. I like to do things. I like to go out. I like to fish. I like to bowl. And I use bowling as my outlet. How to explain it? So when you're looking at the pins and you're walking up on the approach, and I'm looking at the pins, I use the pins as my way of getting out my aggression. I look at them and I visualize something that I'm angry with and I throw the ball. Hit my mark. Sometimes I hit my mark, sometimes I don't. It is what it is. But um I use the pins to get out my aggression. It keeps me grounded, keeps me wanting to keep moving, keep going with things, if that makes sense. It also helps with my anxiety, my PTSD, my depression as well.
Okay. I read on your Facebook page that you were in a national tournament and that you finished pretty well. Can you talk to us about that?
I did a um I did a states tournament. I guess that makes sense. Every year you have to pay for $20 a year for your USB-C card, which I don't know even know where mine is at the minute. Probably in my Wrangler. um, but we pay $20 for a USB-C card, which allows us to be able to do sanctioned events. So like a sanctioned league or a sanctioned tournament. And I think I did the tournament. I think it was in New York. I don't exactly remember. My memory is pretty crappy. All this medical stuff has really messed with my memory. I don't remember what we placed, but I did doubles, singles, and a team, and it was fun. I mean, we placed. I don't remember what we placed, but I know we placed pretty good. It just bowling takes a lot of practice, a lot of repetition. It's about you really have to keep going and keep practicing every single week. Otherwise, you can just go from really good to really crappy. I went actually this week for the first time in I don't know 3 or 4 weeks because my section league had ended. And we're now getting into summer leagues, which aren't sanctioned. And um, I took my dog who's in service training right now, my puppy. He's training to be my service animal, and I wanted to get him accustomed to the smell and the noises that are at the bowling alley before I take him when I do my summer league. And not bowling for 3 or 4 weeks, I was like, holy crap, I suck. Like I couldn't. I got a 115 as my highest game, and I'm like, that's bad. So when I can bowl, I know I can bowl 130s, 140s, 150s, 160s. It's just when you stop bowling for so much time, the muscle memory starts to fade away. So you have to continue to bowl. You have to continue to practice. It's a very intense sport, but it's fun, and you get to hang out with friends, and you meet new people, and you're just able to do things like, go pick out a ball, go to bowler supply and pick out a ball, which is our place where we can go pick out balls, and then they measure your fingers, and the ball is fitted to you. So I enjoy it. It's expensive, but is the expense worth helping me with my depression, my anxiety, my PTSD, getting me out of the house, and making me happy? Hell yeah. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay. You mentioned a couple of times that you drive a Jeep.
Mhm.
Can you talk to us about what it's like to be a Jeeper? I know that's a big thing with you.
I have a 2018 Jeep Wrangler Sahara JL. It is hella yellow, actually. And everybody asked me how I named my Jeep, so we'll start there. The Jeep's named my special needs child, my son. When I brought it home, he said, "Mommy, it looks like an oversized bumblebee." The spare tire could be the Stinger, and people on the road better watch out and not make my mommy mad because Bumblebee's going to sting him and kill him. Hence how the Jeep got its name. The Jeep is black and yellow. Jeep parts aren't cheap. That's an understatement. Just eat every penny that's what Jeep stands for. Just eat every penny. Now people say we're a cult. We're not a cult. We're just a bunch of people that drive the same vehicle, who enjoy driving the vehicle, enjoy off-roading with them because they are off-road vehicles. Kicker, Pennsylvania and Hawaii are the only two states, the only two out of all of them, where doors off are illegal. Now, Pennsylvania had just passed the Senate for for doors off, and we're waiting for it to pass House. Once it passes House, doors off will be legal in PA. I understand why it's illegal in Pennsylvania, or why it's illegal in Hawaii, but PA it should be legal. It's so stupid. Um, I enjoy it. I love that thing. If you look at the pictures I have on my Facebook, the windshield says side piece at the very top of my windshield because literally it is my side piece. It makes me happy. I get in that thing and I put my top down and I'm just like, yeah, this is the life. And you see another Jeeper come by and you're doing the Jeep wave, and it never gets old. Like the Jeep wave just doesn't get old, and it makes you smile, just like the duck thing. It makes you smile, and that's the whole point of it. If you have a car that's your dream car and you're working for it so hard for it, and then you finally get your dream car, it's like you value it. You keep it clean. Like people say I'm anal retentive with my Jeep because I keep it so clean. It's a Jeep. It's supposed to get dirty. Okay, it gets dirty, but then I'm going to clean it. So I love
Okay.
that thing.
Have you made modifications to it?
Oh yeah. When I got the Jeep, it only had 3,500 miles on it. It now has close to 30,000 miles on it, and I've had it since it'll go be 2 years in October. So that's my everyday GP toy. I've added the decals, I've added a high lift jack. I've added a light bar. I've added a CB radio. I've added, um, I changed my rock walls, which are basically the steps that you step up into. I've changed my soft top because it was leaking. That's not a cheap fix either. Um, I'm getting ready to do my bumpers because they're plastic and I can't stand them. So I'm getting ready to change my bumpers out here soon to stainless steel and then put a winch on it. But I've added quite a bit to it. I changed my light bulbs. So you when you buy a Jeep, you get standard light bulbs like any other car. And I changed them to 10,000 lumen LEDs. Now people, when I'm driving at night, think, "Oh my God, there you have your high beams on. Let's flash you." And then I'll flash my high beams, and they'll go, "Oh shit," because it's not my high beams. It's just my lights themselves because I changed the light bulbs. Little things I've changed. I haven't done anything real drastic to it. I'm hoping to change quite a bit more. But once you start modifying a Jeep, you cannot stop. It's impossible.
Okay. Tell us about the ducks. What's
Oh
up with the
Lord.
duck things with the Jeep?
So this lady during COVID started because we couldn't go out, we couldn't do anything. Everybody was miserable during COVID. This lady decided to start taking little rubber ducks, which I don't have one on me, they're in the car. They're in my Jeep actually. They're little rubber ducks, and you buy them on Amazon, and then make your own tag, and it's hashtag Duck Duck Jeep, and you're supposed to put your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, and your TikTok on them, and then take a picture when you get one. The person that receives it is supposed to take a picture and post it, essentially tagging the person that gave you the duck. When she started it, she did it because she got bored and she wanted to make somebody smile. And we also put on our tags, "Nice Jeep," or "I like this about your Jeep," or "Oh my God, I love that about your Jeep." And you put it on these little tags and you punch a hole in it and you put a rubber band around the duck's neck to hold the tag. And you put it on the door handle of another Jeeper. No matter if you're having the worst day ever and you go out to your Wrangler and you find a duck, it puts a smile on your face. And that is the whole reason for the duck thing. The entire reason. It is there to put a smile on your face. And it does. It works every single time. I have so many ducks, I am running out of room. So I came up with a way to put the ducks on my spare tire. And now I posted that video on TikTok and that went viral. So, hey, if I'm helping somebody figure out a way to put their ducks somewhere, it works.
Okay. You mentioned the new pup. What's the new puppy's name?
Arlo. He's a 6-month-old pit bull, purebred pit bull.
Okay. Um, I noticed that you're going to school. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with your education currently?
I am currently in dueling, doing a dual degree in psychology and in American Sign Language. I am currently, I would say I am fluent, but I'm not. So somebody in the deaf community, for a hearing person to be fluent, they would have to go to school to be considered fluent. It's a respect thing for the deaf community. But I know a lot of sign language, and I wanted to put it to use. I wanted to find a way to put my sign language that I already know to use and help some help the deaf community in a way that really isn't known. And there really isn't a lot of um, there isn't a lot of deaf therapists, and the wait for a somebody with that is deaf to get a psychologist can be months to years, and that's not fair to them. They deserve the same um, treatment, medical treatment, whether it be mental or not mental, than a hearing person. So I wanted to dual and get both my degrees so I can do that.
Okay. What do you say to people that think because of your illness and because of the possibility of your dying that school is a waste of money?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm asking, when people say to you that school is a waste of money because of your illness, how do you feel about that? What's your response?
It pisses me off. It makes me angry. And it honestly it makes me infuriated because they think, oh, you're sick. You shouldn't be doing this. What if you die? All that money goes to waste. It's not just about um the education. It's about being able to help others, and that's what I want to do. Um, but when people talk like that to me or tell me that I can't do it because I'm sick, or if I die, it's a waste of money, I ignore them, and it gives me more motivation to prove them wrong. I was told I took statistics, and I was told I wouldn't get an A in statistics. I was told I statistics is math. You suck at math. You're horrible at math. Yeah, I am horrible at math, and I will be the first one to admit I am horrible at math. I hate it. It is the worst subject for me, besides history and bio. Um, but I got an A. I got 120% in that class. So for the and I proved them wrong. So every time somebody tells me I can't do something, I do it, or tells me not to do something, I do it anyway, and I succeed in it or do better than what people thought I could do. And it motivates the shit out of me, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. I, I read a note that said part of the reason that you do this is to set an example for your children. Is that correct?
Yeah, because especially with having a special needs child, it shows my kids no matter how old I am, how sick I am, or how busy life gets, that even if I'm in the hospital, I can still do it. I can still go to school. I can still succeed in life. I can still get an education. And it shows the kids that you can't let anything stop you. And my daughter noticed it, and she's just like, Mom, I want to go to Harvard. You do you, honey. You do whatever you want. Mommy will support you.
Excellent. Excellent. Are are you afraid of dying? I mean, you openly talk about your mortality. Are you
I
afraid
am,
to
but
die?
I'm not. Because you never know what the afterlife is going to be like. I was born and raised Catholic. I did my Holy Communion. I did all that CCD classes and all that, and um, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know if there's an afterlife. I don't know what's next. So, in a way, yes, but in a way, no. That makes sense.
Sure.
Because if I die, then I won't be in pain anymore. But if I die, then I won't be with my kids. So it's like, catch 22 basically.
Okay. Do you know what your life expectancy is going to be? How long do you have?
I don't know. We don't know. Because I could literally go to sleep tonight and my potassium could tank and I could pass away tonight. You don't know. You just don't know. Anything's possible.
Okay.
Tomorrow, I live by a quote. Live life to its fullest. Live each day like it's going to be your last because tomorrow is never promised. And I live by that quote every single day. And that motivates me to keep going too.
Okay. Um, how do you keep track of all your appointments? I read a list of the kind of doctors that you have at the beginning in the introduction. Uh, how do you
This
keep track of
gadget,
where you're supposed to be when?
this gadget right here called a cell phone. Everything goes into my calendar. Now, WellSpan, up here we have WellSpan and we have UMPC. Those are the two like major medical companies, I guess you would call it, besides Hershey. But everything, I put everything in my calendar in my phone. If I do not do that, I will forget. Even though you get a reminder on the apps, for like UMPC will send you a notification or WellSpan sends you a notification. I still put everything in my phone because if I don't, I will forget. And I have missed appointments because I didn't put it in my phone. So now when I'm sitting at a doctor's office, I'll go, okay, hold on 1 second, let me pull up my calendar, and I check my calendar to make sure that everything is there that I need there, and make sure that I'm not doubling up on appointments on the same day too, because I've done that by accident. Oops.
Okay. Steph, by my count, I counted about 27 doctors that are looking after you. Does that sound close to correct?
Pretty much, yeah. I pretty much have every damn specialty there is. I think I'm up to 22, to be brutally honest.
Okay.
22 or 23 because I have two hematologists now. Now I have to go to Hershey to go see a hematologist in Hershey because the hematologist here has no idea what to do. Um, and then neurosurgeon is in Hershey. I'm pretty much all over the place. I have York, Harrisburg, Hershey, Gettysburg, Hanover. Like I'm literally all over the place. I think the furthest is Hershey. And
Okay.
that's about Hershey's about 2 hour drive from my house.
And how many different medications do you take every day?
Too many. I, I don't know. I keep them in a pill box because I can't. I just put them in every week, and I don't even count anymore because it's just too frustrating. I just put them in my pill box and go about my day. I think about
Okay.
20 some meds, 30 meds, something like that a day, and everything has to be crushed. Some are liquid, some are pill form, and the pill form has to be crushed up in the pill crusher and then put in a syringe with water, and put into my genostomy in my stomach. I don't take anything by mouth.
Okay. Now, I talked a little bit in the introduction about some of the therapies that you're undergoing. I'd like to ask a couple of questions about that.
Sure.
Talk to us about your electrolyte infusions. What is that all about?
So, 90% of the time when your electrolytes are low, they'll give you a pill, like a potassium pill or a mag pill or a sodium pill to raise your levels. Um, I'm unfortunately allergic to potassium pills for some reason. I end up in anaphylactic shock. Heh, that's fun. So we have to do it via IV. And we just put them in my Hickman right here. Um, each one is different. It depends on what my level is. So if my level is below a 3.2, I end up with 2 bags. And it's about an hour a bag. Magnesium is 2 hours a bag. Phosphorus is 3 hours or 45 minutes a bag. So each one has its own times on how fast it can go into the pump. But everything has
How,
to be on a pump when it goes through a Hickman.
okay. How frequently does this happen, these infusions?
I've actually been really good the past month. I've only needed one. Um, but it's been before where I've had it weekly.
Okay.
I was on them weekly for a long time.
All right. You talked at length about your Hickman, but you have two other tubes. You have a J tube and a
Yes.
G tube. What is the J
hmm
tube for?
Okay, so the difference between a J tube and a G tube. The G tube is a gastro tube, which goes into your stomach. I will show you just so you have an idea of what they look like. There we go. This one's the G tube, and this one is the genostomy tube. This is my feed line because I'm currently hooked up to my feed. I put it in the wrong one, so I'm probably going to end up throwing up. But the G tube goes into your stomach, where the genostomy goes into the jejunum of your small intestine, so it completely skips your stomach. It basically essentially feeding me through my intestines instead of my stomach.
Okay. You mentioned that you take blood thinners on a regular basis. What is the reason for that?
The clots, to eliminate clots and strokes and TIAs.
Okay. Um,
And
I-
and because I have a Hickman and a fistula, I'm higher, and because I've had strokes and TIAs in the past, I'm at higher risk of having another one. So the blood thinners keep my blood thin enough so that I don't have another one. That essentially preventing more clots and more strokes and more TIAs and clots with my lines and stuff like that.
okay. Um, One of the things I've seen lately on your Facebook page that you've been discussing is your chemotherapy.
Mhm.
What is the
Remember,
chemo about, and why are you having issues currently?
so it's a type of chemo. It's not a full blown chemo like you would get for cancer. It's called Remicade or Inflexa. It's very expensive. It's about $10,000 per thing, per reading. And I get it every 5 weeks. Um, it's to basically it drops my immune system down to my white count down to zero. And then my immune system just kind of builds itself back up. But it keeps the rheumatoid arthritis from increasingly getting worse or my joints going from it keeps the tissue between my joints from going bone to bone.
Okay.
And it
Can
helps the pain a lot.
okay. How does your health affect your everyday life? Like you mentioned that you tire easily and
hmm
have difficulty lifting heavy objects. Sometimes you need help. Can you tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that?
Um, it really does. It sucks the life out of you. Between the chemotherapy, all the meds I'm on, and all the therapies I'm on to keep myself going, keep myself alive, um, it wear and tears on you. So I tend to like if I do little things, I will get tired real easily, especially if it's something straining. Even like something stupid like driving my Jeep can wear me out really quick. Like I said, I slept 16 hours yesterday because I was just exhausted from driving my Jeep for 8 hours. I did 10 hours in my Jeep and I slept almost like 18 hours the next day. It just, you get tired so easily. It wears you out. Um, I can't lift because of the fistula, so I'm only allowed to lift technically 12 pounds is the max I'm allowed to lift. Thank God my bowling balls are only 12 pounds. um, I have a I have an 8, 10, and 12 pound bowling balls. But um, you essentially you can't lift anything. They don't want you lifting anything. Um, so I have to ask for help, especially with my rheumatoid arthritis, like things like a soda bottle or even a bottle with a lid like this. I can't open by myself sometimes. I have to ask for help because my hands just cramp up and I can't open it. Um, Little things like if it has like a little clip on it and I'm trying to get it on my shirt like this, sometimes I can't do it because my hands are weird and I have to ask for help. Uh, um, I do fall a lot. I fall at least 2 to 3 times a day. I don't have it on right now. But I have an Apple Watch, and that'll detect when I fall. And if I fall, it has a countdown on it. And if I'm passed out and I don't hit the button on my watch saying I'm okay, it sends my emergency contacts an emergency notification, and then it also calls 911 for me, um, to keep me from falling or to keep me from being hurt and not getting help that I need, because I do fall quite a bit. Neuropathy sucks. Um, I do use a cane and a walker, and I do have a wheelchair for when I need it. So a lot of places, like if I'm going somewhere like York Fairgrounds, or I'm going to the Renaissance Fair, or I will take the wheelchair. I won't even attempt to walk it.
Okay. I want people to understand something, Steph. Your health issues are genetic. They weren't
Hmm.
preventable. You didn't do anything to cause your health issues. Would those be fair statements?
That absolutely, yeah. And I've been told, if you would have done this, if you would have done that, your health wouldn't be the way it is. No, it would have been regardless of what I've done or what I did in the past. It doesn't matter how much cranberry juice I would take in. It wouldn't have solved my problems. It wouldn't have made my kidneys any better. It wouldn't have helped my heart anymore. It would Nothing I could have done in the past, no matter what kind of medications I would have taken over the counter, it wouldn't have prevented this. It's all genetics. And genetics is a big part of the problem these days, because there's a lot of cures, even for like PKD and Gitelman syndrome, that don't have cures because there's not enough research on them.
Okay. Steph, you have a great support system. You have friends and family that support you. Can you talk to us a little bit about your support system?
Um, a sports support system is very crucial, because there's like things like surgeries where you can't drive yourself and you need somebody to take you, um, or you're recovering from a surgery and you need somebody to take care of you because you can't take care of yourself. It's important to have that support system before you even think about having any kind of procedure or surgery done, or if you have health issues like I have, or even like you have had when you had a kidney transplant, you had to have a support system. Otherwise, they would have never released you from the hospital. A support, and they're there not only physically, they're there emotionally and mentally to help you cope with whatever you're going through at that moment.
Okay. That would include your sister, Jennifer.
Yes, she is one of my biggest supporters. Yeah, she's always been there for me. She was there when I had my surgeries. Every surgery I've had, she's been there for me. She was there for my kids when I had my kids. I was there when she had her kids. She's a big, big part of my life.
Okay. Your parents, Lisa and John, were great supporters.
Yes, they were. They are. Well, my dad's no longer with us, but yes, my mother is. My
Okay.
dad unfortunately passed away in October.
I'm sorry to hear that. My
Thank
condolences.
you. Thank you. That was hard. And
You have,
my other
I'm sorry, go
sister,
ahead.
I had another sister. She was in the Navy. And she came home from deployment and was killed by a drunk driver at the age of 24. Um, but she was always there for me as well. I know she's up there smiling at me and yelling at me. You're out of control. That was her line. But I know she's with me, but it's still hard without her.
That's Becky, correct?
Yeah, Rebecca.
You have
Oh,
friends, Daniel, Michael, Rob,
yep.
Michelle, Amanda, Michelle
The other
Powell,
Michelle. Yep.
Jennifer Severino. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
Okay. So you have good support then.
Yeah, I do. Very good support. Without them, I'd probably be lost. Brooke. There's quite a few of them. Yeah, I can call any of them anytime I need to, and I do. I've called them to just cry my eyes out because I'm having a bad day, and they'll talk me through it and help me get over that hump of whatever the heck I'm going through at that moment, whether it be fighting with somebody, or something happened, or somebody aggravated me, or the doctors pissed me off, or I'm just having a complete and utter meltdown because I was triggered by something that somebody did that triggered my PTSD because of my past. They've always
Okay.
been there for me.
We're in the home stretch here, Steph. To conclude our talk today, do you have any statement that you would like to make to our audience? Anything at all?
Get your stuff checked. Get your levels checked regularly, because no matter what, I don't only just have the PKD and the Gitelmans, I also have CKD. And it can go undetected until you are in deep trouble and in failure. Kidney failure, liver failure, whatever. Get your levels checked yearly. If you need to, every 6 months, get them checked, because you never know if you have something going on and it's too late by the time you find out. Because a lot of people with CKD, PKD, and Gitelman syndrome don't know until it's too late and there's nothing they can do.
Okay, so we're talking about a simple blood test and peeing in a bottle.
Correct. Get a simple blood test done. Get your mammograms done. Oh God, please get your mammograms done, girls and guys, because even men can get breast cancer. Um, uh, get your X-rays and your MRIs. Do what your doctors say, because it is important to get yourself checked, because you never know. You could be fine 1 minute, and the next minute you could be gone, and it could have been prevented. It's really important to make sure that you take care of yourself, because if you can't take care of yourself, or you don't take care of yourself, and you take your health for granted, you can end up in a really bad situation.
Okay. Steph, I want to thank you for coming on today and educating us, raising awareness about Gitelman syndrome, talking very frankly about your issues and your problems, the good and the bad things in your life. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, and I've always appreciated your friendship. You've been a great friend to me, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm
Thank
thankful
you.
for that.
I am thankful for your friendship as well. It means a lot. Us kidney patients, we gotta stick together, because we've only got each other. And unfortunately, if you don't have it, they don't fully understand what it's like to go through what we go through.
Correct.
We can explain it. We can explain it all we want, but until they experience it, they have no idea the pain and the suffering that we endure day in and day out, even after you get a transplant. And it is important for us to spread awareness, because if we don't do it, nobody else will, and we won't get the funding we need to find cures for these things that are slowly murdering us and slowly taking our family members and our lives. Because genetics don't lie. Genetics are genetics. They will always be there. It goes way back to the 1900s. Your families in the 1900s who had the start of this, and goes back to way back. And there's nothing we can do to change our genetics, but we can change lives if we spread awareness and help get the funding we need to find the cures.
Again, Steph, I appreciate you taking time. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now. Just so
Okay.
people know, the broadcast will be playing tomorrow evening around 7 o'clock, so you can check it out here. All right. Thanks, Steph. Appreciate
Bye.
it so much.
No problem.
All right. You get some rest. Have a good day, my friend.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye now.